All right, ladies and gentlemen, we know we're a bit delayed, but I can assure you we're going to make up here because we're going to go shotgun tonight. Literally, we're going to run a 2-minute drill on Sportswire Radio. Maybe we're going to talk some baseball, talk some hockey, some NBA, mix in some wrestling. I got a couple of guys here that are going to be with me joining in a few minutes, but I'm also here right now joined by some of the TSF Takes guys here. Of course, DK, of course. DK, thank you, DK, for your work with the Nashville Predators, helping the New York Islanders win a game 2 weeks ago. That was the difference for us in getting that third spot in the Metropolitan Division. A man that certainly stays trendy and had a back and forth with me on Facebook with John Gonzalez saying I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan when I definitely am not a Philadelphia Eagles fan, Mr. Alan Michaels, and of course, Washington Capitals fan, Randy Dillon, of course, of the Hockey Fan Chat. Really enjoyed his episode with Neil Villapiano. He's also our senior wrestling analyst, also dabbled in the wrestling world. And of course, Rob Maraska, contest man, New York Ranger. He is the contest guy. That's what he is. But fellas, how you doing here tonight? I want to go shotgun. A couple of guys joining here first. But, Rob Maraska, I'm going with you first because you got this contest, which, I'm sure 50 people on Twitter are going to find out, but nobody's watching right now. So, I kind of say it tongue-in-cheek. So, but tell me about this contest. I'll put it up on the screen shortly. So, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, talk about the latest contest. And we're joined here by Chris Leia.
Hey, Chris. It's the new tops now. Ellie De La Cruz from the Cincinnati Reds card. He hit 4 home runs in 4 games. They put a card out. I got a hold of a couple of them before they sold out, which they sold out pretty fast. So that's what's up for grabs.
Well, how do you get these cards, though, Suka? Do you have a connection or something? Are you using your Sportswire Radio analyst ties? How do you get these things that that easily as I put this up here on the screen shortly?
I don't know. I mentioned the name Tom Bryce, and I get
Well, in Backyard Wrestling, if you mention my name, you're going to get a lot of people. Every Backyard Wrestler is going to know who I am. Some might be good, some might be bad, but I was just curious for the audience there.
Yeah, I just I just get special notices before other people get them, and if I want it, I get the card.
And there's the card itself right there for you. There you go. You got it there. I pulled it up on the screen. That's the magic of the technology for us as we're about to come on and get to a whole bunch of people here over the next hour. So there you have it there, Rob. So if you go and find out more information, Rob has tagged me on Twitter. I have shared. So want to make sure that we see that there. We'll get into the Mets, Yankees also a little bit as well. Get into some NFL draft. I know Chris and Sharman had a great interview last week with Andrew Golden. I got a chance to listen to that a few times. So we'll keep that up. But, I want to go real quick and talk about a couple different things. I want to actually go to the hockey guys here first because obviously the news that I don't know if it's shadowed the NHL playoffs. Obviously, Rangers, Capitals, Islanders are in the playoffs. So Predators are in the playoffs. So all of us here are almost kind of got somebody we're rooting for. But I feel like it was overshadowed by the Arizona Coyotes moving to Utah. And we had this rather bizarre press conference. I don't know if anybody of the hockey guys caught it, maybe even just sports fans in general here. But, what do you make of the situation? Let me go with Randy Dillon first because I'm sure Randy's going to talk about this. I would have to imagine on his podcast. But, what do you make of the situation? Morello gets to keep the team. They're technically inactive. He's got this whole thing to win a plot of land on June 27th. Bettman's basically giving him 5 years, and he's basically been given $1 billion. The whole thing seems to me rather bizarre. It's not like they're folding, but they're alive. But to me, it just seemed like it foreshadowed really, I think, some of the best couple of weeks the NHL has had in a long time. But what do you make of this situation?
Thanks, Tom. As always, a pleasure to be on the show. It is a very strange situation with all the things you mentioned. The fact that the franchise going inactive when we saw in 2011 when the Thrashers left to Winnipeg, they were stole those records, but they're not. They're giving them time. They're planning to bring them back in expansion in a number of years. It is so bizarre where I think it's Gary Bettman does some reason still want to hang on this hope Arizona can work out. Now, Arizona did give us one of the greatest goal scorers we're seeing right now in this generation, Austin Matthews.
Absolutely. He just missed 70 goals, by the way.
Exactly. And listen, it is, from what I hear, and I did a chat with an Arizona fan number of years ago, there are fans there in Arizona. They like the team. The problem is the location's been bad.
Which I think Morello was talking about in the press conference, in that they had an opportunity to have a lease in Glendale, didn't want the lease because it was outside of the Tempe base, and they tried to get this arena, and it was voted down. We spoke about this in the past. There was issues there. Basically, it was considered to be a radioactive landfill, and there was a lot of money spent on it from both sides, and they didn't win the vote. And now they're trying to win this plot of land on June 27th, and the hope is to turn this into a rather theme park of entertainment, sports stadiums, and this would bring the team back since he owns all the rights of this. But it's just a rather bizarre press conference because you never see an owner or a former owner appear with the commissioner of the league, and they were acting as if like, okay, we're going to come back. And I just thought it was just even the Morello's words, if you saw the press conference in any form, just bizarre. This was just, I don't know what to make of it, Randy. It's not the A's, but I don't know what it is.
It was bizarre. Even I think there was something that Spitting Chicklets with Paul Bizanet and Ryan Whitney came out.
And Paul played there also.
Played Arizona, but there was a clip they were asking because there was reports coming up. Arizona had unpaid bills and all that with hotels and
he claimed he didn't pay.
He was very defensive on that. Like it was a really aggressive answer. So there's definitely like they don't want that dream to die. They still think it can work, but there's so much riding on this, like this plot of land. Can they get it working? Because you look at teams up here in Canada, like I think 20 years ago, the Flames, before they went on that 2004 run. There was talk they were going to move. The Washington Capitals.
Flames, we spoke in years past. Haven't they had a stadium issue too? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Saddle Dome's been there forever. It's a different name now, but I mean, that's one of the oldest arenas in the league.
Yep. Hey, the Washington Capitals I think before Ovechkin came, they were talking about relocation. Chicago.
Penguins are in the past. Penguins were a topic. Of course, the Islanders. I mean, for myself and Chris, I mean, that was a topic for decades, as a matter of fact.
But for Arizona, it just seems like it's just like they don't want to let go. I don't know what it is, but they don't want to let go of it.
Anybody else following this? I mean, I know we have some hockey fans here. I mean, I'm sure Big T will join us. But anybody, even if you're a sports fan, I just think it's such a, I don't know if it's a fascinating story, but such a bizarre story. The team is saying goodbye, but they're not basically being folded. They keep all the social medias, and they're hoping to win this plot of land, which would bring them back. But I just think that, I don't know why we're even going through this. I mean, anybody think on this?
Well, I got a question. What if the crowds really fill up Utah for these games? Like for the
they said 6,000 season tickets were already put a deposit on. I think it's even more than that since the last I checked. I mean, that's fascinating.
If they do well in Utah, I don't think they're going to move back, right?
No, they're not.
No, it wouldn't be that. They actually, so they're technically, Chris is going to sound really more bizarre. They're considered technically a 33rd team because Morello still owns the team, sort of. He actually gets to show up, believe it or not, all NHL Board of Governors meetings. Right. He doesn't get a vote. He gets to show up. He gets all the rights to the team. He loses the players. He's got the name, but he doesn't have a vote. But he's considered the 33rd team because they're expecting within 5 years that he'll win this plot of land and build the team. But it just,
are they going to move back, or are they going to give him an expansion team?
He gets a new team. Basically, they didn't even say it was phrased as an expansion team. They're considered the 33rd team in the league, basically.
So then, who owns the Utah team then?
Ryan Smith, who owns the Utah Jazz in the NBA.
All right, so I think that's fine. Because the NHL was going to expand anyway, right?
They want to expand to 34. Yep.
Yeah. So then Phoenix will be or wherever they end up playing will be the expansion team. I like
that.
It.
Reminds me of
works in Utah.
Tom, that reminds me of like when the Cleveland Browns left Cleveland, and then they came back as with a different team, but they were the Cleveland Browns.
I think this. You're right, kind of. I mean, the Oilers left, for the football fans here, went to Tennessee, and the Texans came in a few years later. But even in those cases, the team moved, but you didn't sound we're still getting a vote. The owner's there, and the expectations are they're coming. I just think it's this big sports story because obviously the A's are going to be joining the same fate in about 6 months from now. But to the fact that you're actually having an owner that's still considered in the league, it's kind of bizarre.
Are they going to be adding a team in Canada by any chance or no?
No. There are fans out here are crying for a team in Canada, but I think I said this a couple of times. until the Canadian dollar rebounds or gets anywhere close to par, it's nowhere going to be.
Yeah, I think that we spoke about this last week on the show, and
Yeah.
obviously we just want to say hello to a friend of two people on the show. Myself and Alan know this man, Atomic Titan. How you doing, Mr. Titan? But yeah, I mean, I think Quebec City, Chris, is what you're referring to.
They got the new arena there. Well,
they've had it there for a while, but
while.
I think that issue there is Montreal is probably blocking Quebec City from having a team there. But yeah, I think.
Okay.
Anybody else have a thought on this situation, even as sports fans, before we maybe talk about a couple of other things and move around over the next hour? I know we were kind of going shotgun tonight, but anybody following the story? Coyotes moving, and the owner still has the team, but doesn't have players, has a vote, and goes to all the ownership meetings, but it's not having a vote. It's just, I mean, totally bizarre.
I think they just need to let it go. I mean, it hasn't worked there for years. Why try to keep the fire alive when there's really no flame, if that makes sense? Like, just let it go and go somewhere else.
Well, I think Bettman was talking about the fact that he had this commitment there. He's really personally felt it's important to him, and Morello talked about it. In fact, Morello originally, they wanted to move to Utah a month earlier. He originally said no, but money talks, obviously, BS walks, and he was offered a 20-year lease in Glendale, but he said no, and it was kind of just a bizarre situation, to say the least. And a couple of people actually want to chime in on this. Shane Davidson, maybe we heard of him, right? We know him, Alan. Now he's back to Shane Davidson again. How you doing, Shane Davidson? Nice to see you too. What's up, Tom? Long time. Yeah, I mean, I hope you want to come back. Maybe you want to come back next Friday on the show. Tommy Titan has a good line. Tennessee needs to bring Major League Baseball to Nashville as the Nashville Stars. Now, I think... Tell me if I'm wrong. I think Dave Stewart, the former Oakland A's pitcher, was part of a group that wanted to bring a baseball to Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. I think Nashville and San Antonio have been the two markets that baseball has talked about, and Charlotte, North Carolina, for the longest time. So that'd be interesting. Nashville's a growing market. We see the Predators. I mean, DK, the Predators fan base is just, I mean, they're like one of the toughest places to play in the league. I mean, and I wouldn't want to be anybody that faces them right now, especially.
It's definitely you got a home arena advantage there for sure, especially in playoffs.
For sure. And, I want to say hello to Ethan Sorensen. And I guess we'll stay on hockey for a few minutes, before I come back. Maybe I'll even get wrestling in for a second. But, I see it. New York Rangers, Washington Capitals there. Rob Maraska brings out an old school blue shirt jersey. Randy Dillon, I actually want to come to you of all people, because I don't know if this has ever happened before. Maybe you know more hockey than me, and I think I know a lot of hockey, but you are the resident expert here on this platform. Has there ever been a team that has actually made the playoffs off an empty net goal tied with minutes left in regulation? I can't think of a situation this way, and that's how the Washington Capitals made the playoffs. Congratulations, Randy, but what an interesting way to make the playoffs. I mean, I don't know how to speak for it, but you got to be a real happy man right now.
Tom, like the whole Capital season has been bizarre from start going. I think they went 1-4-1 to start the year. The injuries to Nick Backstrom leaving, the downplay of Evgeny Kuznetsov, him going rehab, the ups and downs of the team, the slow start from the Ovechkin going, and then him going.
Well, he had 8 goals the first 40 games or something?
Yeah, and it's just been a weird season. I just think the empty net goal here for them clinching the final spot just comment on what a bizarre season it's been for this team.
But what do you expect then coming up here against the Rangers? Obviously, Sunday we see Rangers Capitals. I see Rob Maraska's ready to jump in. Scooby Stoney's here. I mean, we got a lot to do NBA. I'll do them all, but what are you expecting, Randy, from the Capitals? I mean,
it's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be the metrics. The Rangers are top in goals for.
Won the President's Trophy for the 4th time in franchise history.
Goalies in Shesterkin. They have all the metrics there. It's going to be tough. The one thing for the Capitals is they have the momentum and the belief after what they've done this season. How can Charlie Lindgren keep up his play, because he's going to need to be a difference maker? Then I think the big question is going to be, is Tom Wilson still in the head from the Rangers back from 2021? I think that's going to be the question. There's no Ryan Reeves. Yes, there's Matt Brump. Jacob Trouba has shown a really physical play.
We spoke about him a few times on Sportswire lately.
So definitely that's going to be the interesting question there. Obviously, the Rangers are favored to win, but I'm not going to say it's impossible with the Capitals. We have seen the upsets before. We've seen Tampa Bay get upset from Columbus 2019.
How about last year, Florida
down
Boston?
3-1?
I mean, my goodness. How about the Kings? Didn't the Kings once upon a time as an 8 seed win the Stanley Cup? I mean,
that roster was stacked. I'm not going to talk to that roster. We don't give credit for that roster, how good it was.
Yeah.
But those are teams like I look at where the odds were against them in every metric. And it's same with the Capitals. So anything possible in the playoffs, but they need good goaltending. They got to be disciplined, and you can't give the Rangers any life, if any momentum or chances.
And for the Ranger guys here, obviously you're feeling good about this series. This is the team you wanted. Obviously, Penguins, people were kind of ballyhooing, but Washington kind of wins this sweepstakes. Detroit was almost looking like they were going to find a way in here, and the Flyers collapse, certainly. I mean, what a monumental collapse. And the Penguins game, really, their season came down to the loss in Boston. But for the Ranger guys here, what do you guys think?
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a good series. But remember, the Rangers have right now, there's a little curse going on because the last time a team that won the President's Trophy won the Stanley Cup was in 2013.
Yeah, it's been, I think, a decade. Yep.
Yeah, that was Chicago. So, Randy, I think it's going to be a good series. I like Igor in the goal better, though.
And Panarin obviously has 120 points, 49 goals. And
Panarin's been quiet in the playoffs. There hasn't been much talk, though. They need him in the last few years, so he's definitely someone who needs to get going if the Rangers want any success to go far in a Stanley Cup run.
For you, Scooby,
it's going to be fun.
For you, Scooby, you have a thought on the series?
In a very non-disrespectful way, I would say
you can be disrespectful on sports.
I don't mean this to be disrespectful.
No, you should because you know what?
It's all good and fun. I understand.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that though. I just
out
of all the teams that were right there, I'm not mad it's the Capitals. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Would you have been mad? Okay,
kind of one of the teams I wanted round one.
Would you have been mad if it was Pittsburgh? Because Crosby obviously had a great run, and Malkin
and that's not to say the Rangers don't lose to the Capitals because, like he's saying, anything can happen in playoff hockey. But
sure,
I would say that this is a matchup that I liked compared to some of the other teams coming down to the last few games. So.
Okay, all right.
I did not expect the Capitals to get in.
I don't think anybody did. I think everybody.
They were 5 team come at the beginning of the year. They're bottom 5 to 10 people had them at. So
I think the Flyers and Capitals were certainly surprised. I think Detroit, most people said, okay, they would probably be in the mix again. Pittsburgh, I think people always give Crosby the benefit of the doubt, and the Islanders were, 6 points out with 11 games to go and wound up getting 17 of the final 18 points in the regular season. And, I don't know, Chris, does this team have a shot? I mean, some people think they have a chance now. I don't know. I mean, Carolina, they have not matched up well with in the past.
Yeah, I personally, I don't think so, just because when you look at this team, I mean, when you look at special teams, I think special teams, we always talk about it, is huge in the playoffs for hockey, right? And the Islanders are like one of the worst
power play teams. Terrible.
Power play is iffy, right? Like
power play is worse than iffy.
So
penalty kills so-so. They're so-so on the penalty.
But here's the thing, right? They are playing their best hockey. They played all season, and once the playoffs start, all these numbers go away. Like it doesn't matter what you did.
And they've got the goaltending. I mean, goaltending. You can steal a series. And a lot of people think Carolina could get caught napping. I don't know. I
doubt it, right? But hey, we've seen it before.
No, I think we always talk about it on this platform is momentum, and the Islanders do have momentum. They didn't lose their final 9 games. They were 6 points back with 11 to go. Yep. And they wound up making the playoffs. And let me get to Shane Davidson here. He got a couple of things he'd like to say. Special teams, special plays, special players. I'm going to get to you, Alan, in a second. Hope everyone is well. As Hall of Famers looking to get back in the ring. I do believe I owe some apologies. Well, you don't have to apologize to me. I put you in the Hall of Fame. What did I do? It will take time to heal, but I believe this year is for redemption. Well, you didn't do anything to me. I mean, I actually shot my shot earlier this week on Sportswire against a few people, but it wasn't you. You want to say something, Alan Michaels? You want to stay trendy with us and say something?
No, it's a streamer named Sketch, man.
Yeah. You want to sketch something? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you something to talk about here. So you want to sketch something about? I read the other day. Speaking of wrestling for a minute, we'll come back to the other sports. But apparently AEW is worth $2 billion if they don't have a TV deal. I mean, what's up with that, Alan Michaels?
Yeah, AEW is a sinking ship, man. That
They
when
only
they
did
aired
760,000 viewers this past week.
when they aired that CM Punk backstage brawl with Jack Perry, that was literally the same as when WCW announced Mick Foley won the
I said the
WWF
same. You must be
championship.
listening to Sportswire because I actually said the same thing a few days ago.
Like Tony Schiavone had the same exact
I
reaction
said
as
that
he
was
did.
exactly what I
Yeah.
said. That's exactly what I said on Sportswire.
I mean, it was a competition a little bit, a minor scale back during the pandemic. But AEW has just lost so much steam here recently, and it's honestly a joke in the industry right now. I mean, you can't
It's
really take them
abominable. There's no
serious.
flow to it. There's no storyline. I think TBW's got more fans than AEW right now. Seriously, I think
Hey.
TBW does. I don't know anything about
Hey.
that.
But it's hard to compare any company to the WWE right now because they're just on fire. I mean, I don't know if you saw the new tag team title reveal.
Yes,
I mean,
on the
those
air,
are some
but I saw
beautiful
that.
titles. I mean, they were gorgeous. I mean, it reminds me of the old Attitude Era tag team championships.
You want to say something, Randy? Is
Yeah, just to add to Al Michael, AEW, the sinking ship. Like I think they have a pay-per-view. They have their big name
Dynasty, and there was nothing to it. There was just
Mercedes Moné, who's not even on the show. What did a 2-minute promo, and you're paying her $10 million, and you're thinking she's gonna bring in the tickets? Like, how are people gonna see her and stuff? Like, I think with their show, like Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson is gonna be a great match. Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland gonna be a great match. We've seen the Young Bucks in FTR ladder match. Okay, it's gonna be good, but everything else you see on the card just like
underwhelming. Very
Yeah.
underwhelming. Very, very underwhelming show here. Big T, I see you, and obviously, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of things. Maybe I'll talk to you about the NBA because I thought the NBA was very interesting. And have we seen Klay Thompson play his last game with the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
That was a terrible game, man.
I mean, that was one of the worst games I've seen anybody play in a big game. I mean, and what a surprise, by the way, the Chicago Bulls lose to the Miami Heat in the play-in game. And another surprise, no surprise there, was the Atlanta Hawks also losing the play-in game. So, I mean, what did you think here? For the NBA guys, what did you think on some of the plans before I come back to hockey?
I thought the play-in was fun. I mean, I always like the play-in. You know what I mean? I've always liked the idea of the play-in. You know what I mean? I just think it's good for basketball, and especially when LeBron is in the play-in and Steph Curry. You got some big names inside the play-in, Joel Embiid. But now I'm more so looking forward to these series we got locked in coming up.
Got some good ones. I mean, locally,
Yeah,
Knicks and 76ers. A lot of people are looking forward to that locally. I mean, you got, Minnesota in the top seed, OKC. I mean, you got some really, interesting storylines here. Milwaukee limps into the playoffs. I mean, for the NBA guys, and I will come to baseball and hockey. I see the legendary Joe Dell is here. I'm trying to work everybody in a short amount of time. But, obviously NBA owns the day. Certainly tomorrow and Sunday. The NHL is going to have their own story on Sunday, but it's more of an NBA day tomorrow. But, NBA playoffs tomorrow. Obviously, I mentioned Knicks and 76ers, interesting. Suns and Timberwolves, I had just mentioned. Lakers, Nuggets. It's a rematch of last year. But, what are some series for the NBA guys you're all looking forward to?
Hey, we can't slide past the fact that Batum dropped 20.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That man
man.
was lighting it up. He was playing some lockdown
That's crazy.
defense too.
He was doing his thing off the bench. He was doing his
He
thing.
was putting in work. The man had 20. I was like, I had to double check the stats. I was like, Nicholas Batum.
That's going to be
Dude.
like you and you're putting down those Crystal Burgers on May 24th, 10 p.m. Eastern time versus Big T. Big T hears that right now. And he's like, you should know, by the way, gentlemen, I have been promoting that like left and right, that eating contest. So I'm expecting like a good turnout from people watching because I was even promoting that on our show Wednesday where we inducted a head coach of the United States amputee men's soccer team. He was like, really? You're having an eating contest? And then James Taylor was like, can I officiate that? So, I mean, we're expecting a big turnout there.
Good, man. That's going to be fun. I'm still looking forward to that a lot. It's going to be awesome.
Well, maybe you're looking forward to that as much as, I don't know, Lakers and Nuggets or Suns and Timberwolves or, Pacers, Bucks. I mean, some
Clippers
series.
and Mavs.
Clippers, Mavs is the series that, could be, that might be the one I would say 7 games just written all over it.
I'm ready for that
I
one
think
too,
that's
man.
going to be a good one.
Man,
And then
the
Knicks and
Pelicans
76ers.
The Pelicans and Lakers were having a great game until Zion went out with that injury. That was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I think Pelicans came back a little bit in that game too. So, I mean, that game right there was setting the pace for the playoffs. But Zion, another case of can't stand healthy, which sucks because I'm a pretty big Zion Williamson fan.
One of those guys that hasn't been able to quite get it right. We'll certainly see if something else can change here coming up. Obviously, Pelicans and Kings are still playing as we speak, so we'll certainly see. Although Pelicans are up 11 right now, so we'll see if the Pelicans will join the NBA playoffs officially. I want to thank everybody here for tuning in. It's an abbreviated show. Now the numbers are percolating up because they see that we're live, and Shane Davidson says he could put away some crystals now. I mean, well, if I don't, maybe we are entering more people in there. Who knows? Let me come back to Rob Moroska, because Rob Moroska, New York Mets, I know you're dying to talk about that. The Mets are actually playing really good baseball right now. For all those people out there, and I'll come back to hockey in a few minutes. I want to get the Met and Yankee side. I'm going to come back to everybody. I only got a short amount of time, so I'm going shotgun. I'm doing my own Patrick Mahomes here tonight. But, for you, Rob Moroska, the New York Mets are actually playing some really good ball right now. They're hitting up Yamamoto right now. The lineup's looking good, and they're doing this with still some holes, and everybody now is all of a sudden singing Kumbaya with the New York Mets.
Yeah, it seems like things starting to gel. They're turning it around. They're playing as a team. They're having fun, and they're looking good. Harrison Bader, all of a sudden, he's hitting, and he's still fielding. So, that's good. But, you have everybody chipping in. Everyone is doing their part. I mean, look at Reed Garrett. He's doing excellent in the bullpen. Adapino's doing good in the bullpen. The bullpen's looking good. They're hitting. They're getting key hits. And,
Bob, you're having a little bit, I hate to tell it to you, you have a little bit of technical difficulty. You have something on in the background, you got to turn it down. I'm going to go like this. Nope. It's you, Rob Moroska. Okay. Let's see. We'll play a game here. I don't know what the issue is. I'm going to mute everybody, and I'm going to figure it out. Oops. No. Let's see. Hello. Testing. Yeah, somebody's here. So we're going to move it back, as I think I might know who the culprit is. Randy, okay. Rob Moroska, okay. Unmute yourself. Alan Michaels, okay. DK, okay. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Scooby Stoney, unmuted. Big T. It's Big T. It's on your end. You have something in the background, Big T.
Yeah, hold on.
Sorry about that. The numbers are going up lately. People seem to like technical difficulty.
Is that better?
Let's see. No, it's still has something in the background.
I actually don't have anything else on besides that. I thought it was maybe my air conditioner.
Okay. We'll find out.
Let me try this.
Yeah, see, that's the issue. You have an issue in your end. That's weird. Well, so we'll come back to you, Big T. Rob, we'll continue because I think we found the issue there. Sorry for those of us who are watching.
Anyway, so the Mets they're playing really good and they're fun to watch again. And, tonight I'm happy that they're hitting Yamamoto. Definitely. This is the guy that used the Mets to get a bigger contract, I think, from the Dodgers. So
for sure. Listen, he used us as bait, and but that's like how anybody else goes. And the Mets, listen, they're playing good ball right now. You just gotta like where the team is, and I'll come back to you, Big T, for sure. But Chris, Yankees ended. But I was listening to Bobby Tats, or because it was Uncle Tats. I keep referring to him as Bobby Tats, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't listen to us right now anyway. He's probably in bed right now. But no, seriously, his Yankees won. So I love Uncle Tats, but he's Bobby Tats. But the point is, Yankees obviously hit a little bit of a wall, but got a big win tonight. But still feeling good about this team. Guys still out, and guys have been slumping. But I was listening to you and Patrick talk a little bit about it on the Talking Rivals. I got a chance to play it a couple different times on the station, and give me your thoughts on the Yankee week here.
Big bounce back tonight. Beating Tampa. They came back and won. Juan Soto with a big 3-run home run. Held on to win it, even though the bullpen gave up a couple of runs. The big problem is I see a couple of big problems. The starters are not going deep in games, right? They're going 4 or 5 innings, and that's just putting more pressure on the bullpen. So that's not sustainable for a whole season. So that's got to start changing soon. And listen, the middle of the batting order is just not hitting. Outside of Juan Soto, like Judge is slumping. Rizzo looks totally, I don't know what's wrong.
Rizzo, it just seems like it's 2 years in a row now with him.
Yeah. And also Torres. Torres can't get out of his own way. And I brought it up actually before the season. I was like, how is Torres going to handle playing for a contract this season? Because the last couple of years, whenever the trade rumors came around with his name attached, he just went into a big slump. Like, he can't handle these things mentally. So now he's playing for a contract. So there's a lot of pressure on the guy, and he's just not performing. I mean, defensively, offensively, he's just a complete mess. So he's got to break out of it. Like, he's got to just not think about his contract and just say, hey, I just got to play my game and let the contract figure itself out next off season, but that to me is what I'm worried about. Those guys, the rest, and Judge is going to break, he'll break out of it. I mean, I can't see him falling off a cliff at,
I think
1 year. So
I think that most people are anticipating that. And again, the division, everybody's over 500 in the American League East. You got Boston. It's a good division, and I think there's early surprises so far. The Royals 13-7, the Guardians 14-6. Obviously, Yankees just played the Guardians, and the American League East is bunched up. Houston's still off to a slow start, and if you would have said the Oakland A's would have a better start than the Houston Astros, people would have said, what are you smoking? Is LSD back? But that's kind of where we are right now. And, Mets have obviously come back, and, the Marlins are still where they are. And, Phillies are, where they should be. And, even the National League Central, everybody's kind of bunched up. Milwaukee's still playing well. And, the Rockies are pretty much, off to the start we expect.
Early, right? It's only the third week.
I think only a couple of teams really you would say right now are dead in the water. Probably Miami. You guys talked about that on your show, and certainly Colorado. I think everybody else in baseball, you could still, and the White Sox were my next one. They're 3-6,
and the
A's White Sox 3-16. So you got 3 teams right now that you'd probably say are dead in the water right now.
Yeah.
Joe Dell would like to say, as Mets fans, we need to start a GoFundMe for Rob Maraska so he has the funds to stay alive. I guarantee it's as good as getting this man amazing win for 6 years. Bobby Tats, though, is older than you. Bobby Tats, he's the one that we need GoFundMe more, because he's like,
I don't need GoFundMe.
Well, I would hope not. I mean, because people out there actually put GoFundMe. My next door neighbor actually has GoFundMe for her to move out of her apartment, her house. I said apartment, her house, because she's been a squatter for 10 years. I hope she's probably listening to this right now. But the fact that she put a GoFundMe out there because she's a squatter,
God.
That's really good. Yeah. Well, she probably would kill me for this one, but I've been doing that the whole week on Sportswire. But she's basically been a squatter for 10 years. I didn't even know that until 2 weeks ago. But different conversation for a different time. I guarantee you she's not listening to Sportswire, so that's not a big issue. But I'll move away from that. Maybe I'll come back to baseball. Talk with Big T in a minute. Hopefully his audio is fixed up. But I really want to talk about hockey for a couple more things. I want to go to you, Big T. I still got you on the audio problem, Big T. I got to mute you again, Big T. I'll come back to you when I need you, but you're my culprit, sadly. But, DK, I'm so fascinated. Maybe Randy will jump in with this, because the Nashville Predators and the Vancouver Canucks, that might be maybe the most fascinating series, because the Vancouver Canucks obviously are getting Thatcher Demko, I believe, is supposed to come back for this series. They had obviously quite a story. I mean, what a job Rick Tocchet does. But the Nashville Predators, had maybe the best second half of any team in the league. Is this the one series, maybe for both of you guys, and Randy, you obviously follow it because you're actually out there, you know Vancouver very well, living there and such in the past, but, you know, is that the series where you'd say, you know what, the road team might actually be the favorite? That's the one series where Nashville is going into it maybe as a higher seed, but a favorite? What do you guys think on both of that?
I think Nashville does kind of have the advantage going into it because even if they get the one game out of the first two on the road,
going to Smashville, oh baby, going to Smashville.
Come in there, and I'll be there game 4 actually.
Oh, you're going? Wow,
nice.
Yeah, I'm going.
Cool.
So hopefully we could see a win live.
What did you pay for your ticket? What'd you pay for it? Yeah.
That's classified, but
okay. Do you have a good
a little pricey.
Do you have a good seat though?
It's like in the 200s. It's nothing crazy, but I wasn't gonna pay over $1,000, you know. But
fair enough. Well, listen, I'll make everybody laugh. One time, I took a girl out on a date, and I did this for a Ranger playoff game, and I'm not a Rangers fan, and I actually paid between the two of us like $400, and it was like a nosebleed. This was before COVID. This is 2017, so you know, it didn't work out. I could see, but so I can imagine it's only to be better. But what a crowd though to be there in Smashville, Game 4. I mean, you got to be, but you feel good about this series, though.
I feel good about it. I mean, Vancouver's a good team, but they also don't have very much playoff experience between all of them, and they haven't been in the playoffs for a while. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not extremely worried about it, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out strong.
Randy, is this the one series where you say the higher seed is kind of maybe a slight advantage here? What do you say on that?
From what I've been reading up here, the Canucks are the favorite. They're going to thrash the Preds. You're looking at 5, maybe 6 games top, but I don't see that.
Did they watch the last 2 months of the season?
That's the thing. Nashville's been one of the hottest teams after a slow start. I know the Preds lost all 3 games to the Canucks, but that was earlier in the year. And as DK mentioned, it's going to come down to playoff. I think this series is really going to come down to playoff experience. The Canucks don't have it, where the Nashville Predators. So I have like Yossi.
They've been in the playoffs. Is it 9 of the last 10 years? I mean, they have been, as crazy it sounds. We spoke about Arizona and their struggles, but Nashville, conversely, which came in the league, I think 2 years after Arizona, has been a model franchise.
Oh, absolutely. And then you experience Roman Yossi, Philip Forsberg. They went to the Cup final with Nashville.
O'Reilly's been to the playoffs.
Ryan McDonough. You got Ryan O'Reilly. UC Saros was been around. Like the Canucks, they do have good pieces. Yeah, you have Thatcher Demko, the top goalie. Quinn Hughes has had an incredible year, most likely going to win the Norris. But one thing I'm going to give Nashville the edge to is size and physicality of the forward group. That's how you win playoffs. The wear and tear where the Canucks are built at a very skilled, strong teams. And the question is going to be really how Elias Pettersson does. But if Nashville can get to Vancouver, get them frustrated, be physical, they have a good chance of really taking this series.
All right, I'm going to work to the rest of the guys here in a second, and a few other series. Avalanche and Jets. Obviously, Avalanche certainly, folded also late down the stretch. I think that's another interesting series. Golden Knights, the Stanley Cup champions, go out there and they play the Dallas Stars. They finish as the second wild card. Kings and Oilers. Once again, it seems to be a regular thing. Oilers obviously had what a slow start to the season, and they had an amazing run. And also a few other notes in the NHL. We saw Kucherov with 103 assists, I believe, and McDavid got 100 assists. Austin Matthews gets 69 goals, and I believe Kucherov is first in the league in points. McKinnon is second in the league in points, and Panarin has 120 points, and offense was certainly up this year. Also, Maple Leafs and Bruins, another NHL 6 series, original 6, another great series there. I expect that to maybe be, a 6 or 7 game series. Boston, and both those teams really didn't play well going into it. Lightning obviously have the pedigree, but the Panthers seem to be a different team. I don't know if this is the Lightning team that you've gotten in the past, but Stamkos had a great second half. Kucherov, they've still got Vasilevsky, and they've been there. I mean, wouldn't surprise me there. So, okay, so we'll talk about maybe more of that in a few minutes. I'm going to try you, Big T, and see if we can get this right now with you again. You're still having problems. I'm going to mute myself and let you talk about something you'd like to bring up.
Not too much, man, honestly. I mean, I'm just definitely, still looking forward to the draft. Obviously, a lot of big stuff in basketball. It's been kind of slow, at least I would say a little bit of a downtime in between the big events themselves. But other than that, man, just waiting for some big news, waiting for some draft pick news about Chicago, or just seeing what the NFL is going to do. But really excited to see how this offseason goes for him.
Training for more crystals.
You said what?
Training for more eating of crystals.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think I need to train for him, but I have been eating a little bit more than I normally should recently to get ready. Indeed, that's for sure.
All right, thank you, Big T. We'll bring back to you. I want to go to Alan Michaels, and obviously, I know we're going to finish the show in about 10 or 15 minutes. I know guys have to run. We're getting late, and Alan, I know, has got some things he's got to attend to. But, Alan, I did want to come back to WWE for a second because of Rhea Ripley. I mean, what did you make of the Rhea Ripley vacating the women's title?
I've heard a few things. I've heard it's a legit injury, and then the other thing I heard was that she's getting married to Buddy Murphy, and she needed to get rolled up TV.
So you weren't getting married to her then?
Unfortunately, some people can't be as lucky as Buddy Murphy.
I mean, you're
not Dirty Dom who's getting married.
You said what?
It's not Dirty Dom who's marrying her.
Nah.
Didn't he get married in real life himself? The irony of that?
Yeah, he did. He got booed at his own wedding. Crazy. That's how much heat he gets.
Well, I probably would get booed at my own wedding, but that's why I'm not married. But yeah, I mean, I guess unfortunately you came a close second though to certainly Buddy Murphy.
Hey, if I was even in the conversation, that's a A+ for me, man.
What do you think? So you say Rhea's injury? Is it real?
I honestly think it's the best way to keep her strong. I mean, she didn't drop the belt. She held it for a year, didn't drop it, defended it pretty regularly. She just had that awesome defense against Becky Lynch at Mania. It sucks to see her drop the title in that way, but I honestly think that Liv is going to be the next champion, and they're going to tie it back probably whenever Rhea gets back to have Liv versus Rhea.
Okay. Randy, I see you shaking your head because I'm trying to get everybody in here. Go
ahead. I don't know if Liv Morgan's the right option because she doesn't, like I said at the time, she doesn't have the reaction for the crowd where she is. Maybe you can turn her to a heel, but I don't know. I think maybe give it to someone like Nia Jax. Maybe Bianca Belair. You have the draft coming up. Chelsea Green would be an interesting choice given that title with how good she is.
Yeah, but I agree. But I don't think. Yeah, she's
it's
lost.
Unbelievable, but I think she would be hilarious on TV. But there's definitely some options you could go with. Do you feel Tiffany Stratton could run with it for a little bit while?
I think Tiffany Stratton's going toward Bayley. I think that's where they're going to go with that.
But there's a draft as well coming up, but I think it's really going to throw some mix. So that's why I'm thinking there's possibilities here. Definitely, I would not be surprised if somehow Bianca Belair ends up with the title. Definitely, I think if Charlotte Flair was healthy, she would get it. Becky, I think if they didn't give her at Mania, they're not going to give her again. So really,
yeah.
Even Nia Jax, I think, like I said, I know she's a controversy, but I think
she's hung in though. She's believable.
She could do a decent run with the title, or you give it to Io Sky, or again, there's Dakota Kai. There's a lot of opportunity here. It's not where you're for so many years they're stuck on a few women. And Alexa Bliss as well. You could throw her because the rumors of her coming back with Uncle Howdy.
Well, there is a draft coming up too, so you might see the roster shaking up a little bit. You never know who might go where.
Yeah, obviously that's something that we're going to see kind of ironically at the NFL draft is coming up, and we expect some draft coverage on next Friday's show because obviously the draft will take place next Thursday, and I'll come back to that toward the end here because we're actually coming up to the end, and I want to thank everybody. Ethan Sorensen's got a wrestling question, which I'm going to hold off to toward the end because we got about 15 minutes or so with the regular guys before closing thoughts because, obviously some guys are under the weather, guys have to travel, but I want to go to you, Rob Maraska, and I'll go to Chris on the baseball thought, then maybe work in the draft, and then we'll say maybe closing thoughts. But, for you, Rob Maraska, this Met team's been hitting and it still doesn't have JD Martinez.
Yeah, so, hey, that's a good sign. You know what? This West Coast trip, this is what's going to, tell us how the Mets are going to be early. I mean, like Chris
that always happens with the Mets, right? We always go on the West Coast. It's a little earlier this year, but, the Mets kryptonite's been June the past couple of years.
Yeah, it has been. But right now, you can't complain. I mean, they're up 4-2 against the Dodgers right now. They hit well against Yamamoto, like I said. I'm happy about it. It's fun to watch the Mets again. Everybody was ready to jump off the Triborough Bridge after the first 6 games of the season. But everything's gelling good right now, and New York Mets baseball is fun again.
Absolutely, and I wanted to pull up here the Sportswire Radio link, which if you want to hit that sub button, we have almost 78 people now on all our social media platforms. So if you're here, that's on YouTube. That's where you hit that sub button. You can check out all of our great shows. We have a list of different things. If you like wrestling, if you like sports, we have it all here. That's why you want to hit that sub button for us and support us here on Sportswire Radio. And for you, Chris, is there any story or two that you're watching in Major League Baseball?
You know what? It's just that it's early, so it's hard to kind of gauge. Things I like to see, Rob with the card. Ellie De La Cruz is just on an incredible start to the season. I mean, he's
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, and the kid he's such a great player. I mean, he came out, what was it, last week, saying that he learned English so he could, be able to communicate with his fans and with the media and stuff like that, which I thought was awesome. Just stuff like that. I mean, what about Mike Trout? Just being Mike Trout early on, right?
Yeah, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see stuff like that. The Orioles with all their young kids.
I think the Royals 13-7, the Guardians 14-6, right? I think that's got to be something.
Yeah,
you and Patrick talked about Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was hot last year and faded. Okay, so we saw that, but
I think they'll fade again.
Kansas City and Cleveland. I mean, I think that's an interesting story so far.
Right, and I mean, listen, the Central is up for grabs, right? There's no real strong team in the Central, so a team like Kansas City can pull it out if
And they signed. Listen, up. Time they spent the second most money in the offseason, so they were a team that went out there and wanted to do something. And
if you're just above 500, you got a shot at that division. So I could see Kansas City, and maybe they make a move at the deadline, and add a piece, whatever they need, whether it be a starting pitcher or another bat. Cleveland, I mean, you look at that team, and to me, they don't have enough, but they're winning, right? So if they could keep it up, then. So, and like I said, the Central's just not a strong division. So
I guess it's a good point, because you look at that division and it's like somebody's got to come out of there. Somebody's got to come out of that division. Do you buy Kansas City? I don't know. Detroit, a lot of people were high on, but meh. I mean, the White Sox, we know, are going to probably lose 110 games. That's a sad
just like last year, right? We said Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was in first or second by the middle of June.
Pittsburgh was like 27-19 or something like that.
Yeah.
They faded,
they were in first or second. I think June 15th, 16th, that was their high.
And they went on like a really putrid run. It was like,
I'm waiting until like mid-June to really start saying, okay.
Yeah, the rule of thumb has always been, as long as I can remember, the rule of thumb was always Memorial Day. U.S. Memorial Day, which for this year for us is eating contest time. So it would always be for us, we get to that eating contest. That's when we look at the baseball standings. Now, today is April 20th now. My team's in first place, great. Mets are 500, Yankees are 500, great. But where are they? Memorial Day. I mean, it used to be July 4th, but now you really look at Memorial Day. But, we'll see.
Like said, there's a few teams that already, like the White Sox.
The Rockies, the White Sox, the Marlins.
Yeah, and the A's. Throw the A's. The A's are going to.
Well, they're technically alive.
Right, they're playing good now, right? Yeah, they are playing good now, but
they're alive. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be, maybe they'll avoid 100 losses. I mean, that'll be.
I don't know about that, but I to be honest, I thought the A's were going to lose 120 games and at least tie or break the Mets record, but I think the White Sox will. I think
the White Sox are right up there, and I want to give a shout out to Scooby Stoney, because Scooby has let us know that he was feeling under the weather, and I understand. Scooby, feel better. Thank you for your support. I know we're having some technical difficulties with certain guys' shows anyway on the stream, and thank you for just, even being here for 15 minutes. We talked about, I know it wasn't the show we normally had tonight, but we actually inducted a new Hall of Famer, CJ Black, and a lot of people were into that. But even being here, we have 75 people still. 75 people still are with us. So we know that people are with us no matter what. We thank everybody for that. I know I'm going to move on here real quick. I'll go to everybody to get one thought. Alan Michaels, I'm going with you because I see you're getting ready to stay tired. So I want to give you some things to say. I'm going to give everybody one final story they want to share before closing thoughts. I'm going with you first, Alan Michael, because I see that you are definitely staying tired.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit late. Woke up early this morning, but I guess we'll.
I know that feeling. The last 3 days, I'm on a total of like 13 hours sleep. When it's tough. Yeah.
But welcome back to week 3 of Kirk Cousins slander. I physically watched with my own 2 eyes.
Brought to you by Alan Michaels.
The same team that Kirk Cousins didn't make the playoffs with. Case Keenum took him to the 3rd round of the playoffs. So I just want to make that known. That's week 3 of Kirk Cousins slander for me. That's the only thing I want to say.
Now, are you gonna say now next?
No
now,
hot take?
Next. We're gonna get hot takes in a second, but is now if that's your official hot take, we're gonna go with that certainly.
Oh, it's not. I have a hotter take to that.
Okay, so we're gonna come back. You know what?
The hotter one.
I'm going to
Flaming
put
hot.
you on the spot. What is your hot take then? You know what, Alan? We know the hot take went viral on Instagram last week. We got like hundreds of views on Instagram. I mean, so what is go for it right now? You're used to going on the spot. You've been on wrestling TV before. What's the hot take?
If I'm the Bears, I don't take Caleb Williams number 1. I just don't. I don't see all the hype, man. He don't have the greatest attitude. I don't think he's really paying out. He's probably gonna get thrown right in the system. He's probably going to get thrown right in the fire, and the same thing that happened the past 30 years with Bears quarterbacks is unfortunately going to happen again.
Well, Cutler had a few years. Cutler had a couple good years. I mean, it was a couple. Can't say he was totally a couple. Compared to the other quarterbacks, they had Rex Grossman and
Jim McMahon won a Super Bowl.
But that was like 40 years. I mean, Rob Maraska was probably in diapers when that happened. That was years ago.
I think one of us could have won the Super Bowl that year at quarterback.
I mean, listen. They've had 4 quarterbacks. Okay, Harbaugh was there once upon a time. I mean, Eric Kramer. Okay, that was a bust. Okay, but Cutler was, I think, the best of the one. Was Rex Grossman the one that took him to the Super Bowl in 2006?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, he was pretty bad. But I mean, Cutler had some good years. I can't say Cutler wasn't totally a bust.
I don't know. I just think the Bears should look at this a little bit differently. I really think
they're quarterback jinx. Listen, the Bears and Jets have a lot of similarities. They're quarterback jinxed. I'll let
the big debate with the Bears was should they have stuck with Justin Fields, right?
Yeah. I would have thought they were.
I like Justin Fields.
Big T, I'm going to let you respond, Big T, and I'm going to say nothing so we can hear you. What do you want to say, Big T?
I'm just going to completely disregard what Mr. Mikey said there. What I will say though, as for the NBA man and for the Knicks fans, or if any of you guys are Knicks fans in here, I actually think that the Knicks sweep the Sixers in this upcoming series, man. I'm going to say 4-0, especially after Joel's performance. I'm a really big fan of the Knicks in general. I love their team, even though they're missing Julius Randle. But I do expect a 4-0 sweep from them.
Okay, Jalen Brunson's had an amazing season. Had a strong second half. All right, I'll give you that. That was a good take. All right, thank you, Big T. I'm going to put you back on mute. Take care. I want to go with you, Randy, next. Randy, is there something else you want to share before I get to the rest of the gang and get to closing thoughts?
I'll be quick, just a couple of notes on some of the series. Colorado, Winnipeg. I do not like Colorado just because
Me either. Colorado
I
and Winnipeg.
don't trust Alexander Gorgiev.
Yeah.
I think he's going to cost them the series.
But Gorgiev won the most games in the league. You know that?
He's in front of a good team. Look at Darcy Kemper 2 years ago. Took the Stanley Cup, and look how bad he's in Washington. I think Gorgiev twice as bad. Look at last year. They were in the game Seattle, but he let in worse goals. Connor Hellebuyck's going to be standing on his head.
And that Winnipeg crowd, oh my goodness, it's going to be...
It's going to be interesting. Dallas, Vegas is going to be a very interesting series, especially if Mark Stone returns, because I think Dallas is ready.
Like how Vegas ended the season, though.
No. They're struggling, but I think Mark Stone coming back will give them a boost there. Edmonton and LA. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in LA, but the wild card in this series is going to be Pierre-Luc Dubois. This is why they brought this guy in. Just if he can make somewhat of a impact in this series, they could give the Oilers for a run for their money.
Think the Kings can get 2 games. I just don't know how they win that series, though.
It's going to be on Dubois to shut down McDavid, then Danault will shut down Draisaitl. And then Kopitar can take over. But if that doesn't happen, Dubois does nothing. It's game over for the Kings.
I got one more on you. So Maple Leafs, Bruins. I mean, these 2 teams, almost somebody has to win this series.
It's offense versus defense. The offense of the Leafs versus the defense of the Bruins, because the Bruins don't have the star power like the Leafs do. They're weak at center, but they can play a strong defensive game. And it's going to come down to the Leafs goaltending. If Samsonov can't do well, the Bruins will walk out this series with a win.
Boston, to me, faded, though, down the stretch.
They faded, but they don't have the star power. When your top line center is a guy like Charlie Coyle and Pavel Zacha, you're going to struggle, especially with the lights.
So are you telling me Toronto could actually win this series?
Toronto can win, but if Matthews and Marner don't show up and their goaltending is not on par, I would say they're done.
And one thing real quick, and I'll get to DK next. It's ironic that the Islanders have won more playoff series than John Tavares has since 2018. Just saying again, I'm going to continue to bring that up because
throwing that out there.
have won more playoff series. Tavares has won one playoff series since he went to Toronto, whereas the Islanders, if you really want to go down the road, technically won 6 because remember the COVID year you won 3 technically because of the goofy
7. They won 7 because they won the year as well. The first year, so
it was 1 in 19. They won 3 and 2, so it was 6. They won 6.
No, they won 3 and 2. Yeah,
won 6. So that's but still 6-1. I mean, the Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, but we'll see. But maybe this will be the year somebody from Canada wins a Stanley Cup for the first time since '93. So we have 4 of them in there. I don't know. Maybe Winnipeg might be the team I think that could pull it off.
I think the Jets hold the best chance.
I think Winnipeg, the way they're looking good since the trade deadline. Okay, so DK, for you, is there one or two things you want to share sports-wise for you that we haven't got a chance to do before we get to closing thoughts?
I think one of the series in the NHL playoffs that needs to be talked about a little more also is the Panthers and the Lightning. I mean, Lightning coming in as a wild card are probably one of the most dangerous wild card teams you've seen in a while. You got Sergachev on, I believe he's on IR for a little bit, but other than that, you got Stamkos who's still wanting to, prove he's got
40 plus 42 goals this year. Yep.
Kucherov's just on fire, and then of course Vasilevsky. He wants to show he still got it too. I mean. And the Florida Panthers are a great team, but I would not be surprised to see if Tampa Bay makes it out of there.
I'll say one thing on that series. It'll be fascinating to me. It's a side point, Vasilevsky and Bob, but that who actually gets the Hart Trophy with Kucherov, because the big talk was, well, is Kucherov going to be not getting to vote for it because of what happened at the All-Star weekend a few months ago? But Kucherov's season it's so hard for me not to give it to him based on the overall performance. I mean, maybe you could have made a case, I suppose, for McDavid, but he missed some time down the stretch. But I think at the end of the day, for me, Kucherov's got to win the Hart Trophy this year. But we'll see. I think that's a good series. There's a really good series. Listen, Maple Leafs Bruins, I think it's going to be a good series. Predators Canucks, I think it's going to be good. I think that we spoke about Lightning Panthers. I think to me, Knights and Stars is fascinating. I think Islanders and Carolina is going to probably be the boringest of the series because these two teams don't score much. But I think it'll be, another series that these teams are familiar with each other. So there's some really, and the Kings and Oilers, by the way, is going to be fascinating. For you, Rob Maraska, is there one or two other things you want to share off your chest sports-wise before we say sayonara?
Yeah, just quick. I just wanted to mention the passing of Whitey Herzog, okay?
Yeah. 90.
92 years old. He helped build the 69 and 73 Mets. The Mets kept passing him over for promotion, so he left. He managed the Rangers, the Angels,
Royals,
the Royals.
Right?
Yeah, he had some great years with the Royals, and of course the Cardinals. Won the 1982 World Series and
3 World Series with the Cardinals, right? 3 of them I read.
Yeah, he lost in 85 and 87, and he's probably the main reason why Keith Hernandez became a Met when Whitey wanted to get rid of him after all the problems with the.
And he was a general manager too, right? For the Cardinals, right? Was he a general manager?
Yeah, at the same time, that's the only way he would go to the Cardinals from Kansas City. He had to be GM and manager. So they.
Oh wow, that's very. That does. In other sports we've seen it, but in baseball, that's very, very rare that a manager is the general manager at the same time. Very rare.
Yeah, years and years and years ago, and I wasn't alive. Connie Mack.
I'm sure Uncle Tats, who does as a podcaster for one of our shows here on Sportzwire Radio, was alive and probably could quote it. But in the wrestling world, we kind of see this often, where an on-screen personality is the owner of the company. And actually, technically, Alan Michaels, you might actually be most fascinated with this. I am actually part owner now of the Pride Wrestling Federation. Ring a bell, PWF?
It does ring a bell. Yeah.
I actually own a portion of it now, so there you go. So speaking of owners, but fair enough. For you, Chris, before we move on, is there one or two other things you want to share? I think it was kind of fun. We mixed it all up tonight. We talked about everything tonight. It was fun.
Hey, what about I found this kind of strange that the Stanley Cup favorites, if you go on FanDuel, is not the Rangers, right? The Rangers are the, President's Trophy guys, and they're not the betting favorites right now. The two betting favorites are Carolina and Florida.
Wait. Carolina?
Yeah. Those are the two.
Carolina?
Yeah.
I thought Boston or something.
Yeah,
No,
or Edmonton
I'm
with
shocked.
David, yeah.
And the Rangers have the same odds of winning the Cup as Edmonton and Dallas at plus 800.
What did Vegas not watch the NHL season?
I have no idea. You know what? My
I'm not.
cousin
I am
said
not a
I
Ranger
have to
fan
double
as
check.
anybody else, but Carolina should not be a favorite to win over the Rangers.
I totally agree. Okay, here's another question for you guys. Who do you think is the betting favorite as the matchup for the Stanley Cup?
Oh, okay. This is Vegas, right? So I'm gonna go. The hockey guys will probably have a different opinion. I'm gonna say.
I gave you a hint, right, with the two favorites already. So
Colorado's one.
No.
Carolina?
Vegas.
No.
Dallas.
No.
Edmonton, Carolina.
There you go. Right now, they are the betting favorite to be the matchup in the Stanley Cup this year. Plus
Carolina.
1900.
I just don't see Carolina.
I don't see Edmonton either.
Either one of them.
Edmonton, though, has a little bit of a better path as the Mets now are up 6-4. So it looks like Francisco Lindor has gone deep. But I just don't see. I think Edmonton has a better path than Carolina, but I can't see Carolina right. So they get past the Islanders, then they play the Rangers next, right? Do they play the Rangers next? So
Rangers
they play
Capitals.
They don't reseed after the first round?
So they play the Rangers. So
Oh, they play. Okay.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Or Capitals.
Right. All the
Well, I mean, listen, I'm
You
sure
never know, man.
Rob Morosco
You
will
never
tell me
know.
that, but I'm rooting for the Capitals. Yeah,
I was
obviously.
going to say,
but,
Randy, you got two guys here rooting for the Capitals.
I'm rooting for the Capitals. I mean, for sure. And the Islanders, I'm still mad about the years ago the Capitals eliminating the Islanders in the last year of the Coliseum. We kind of did get revenge, in the COVID year, but that's a different concept, different time. But the point is, yeah, I just don't see Carolina. I don't see it.
Yeah.
To me, Carolina is
It doesn't make sense.
Edmonton,
Now,
I
here's
would
the other
buy.
thing. Do you guys think, I don't know if the teams are looking at this, but if they do find out that they're not the betting favorites to win the Stanley Cup, do you think the Rangers, that'll add fuel to them at all? No. I mean, they got enough fuel, right? They haven't won a cup in 30 years, but.
Well, I mean, if it was the NBA, what was it? Who was the guy that got banned for life?
Raptors.
Jonte Porter.
Jonte Porter. Now, if it was
For
an
betting
NBA
his
player,
own
I'd
team
say,
to
yeah. I
lose.
mean, there's guys in the NBA that would take personal affront to that. Maybe that was the story of Scooby, which I would have spoke more about, but we don't have a lot of time tonight. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think people, if it was a player saying something, I don't know if players really go, oh, well, Vegas didn't make me the favorite. I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't think it doesn't. If somebody came out in the opposing team and said something about the team,
Right.
if Alan Michaels was in a wrestling ring and somebody said something about him, Alan would go out there and be fired up like there's no tomorrow. When Randy was in the ring, it'd be the same thing. But I don't think it means anything. I don't think it means anything, I mean, I could tell you, like, if you were on Sportswire and I actually spoke about a wrestler, I would hear about it the next day, which I actually have. And I've said things about somebody, Tom, you spoke about me for 10 minutes and said everything in the book about me. I would hear it, but it's not to that level. So I'm going to say no. Maybe we could revisit this and see if Carolina actually got to the Stanley Cup Finals and Edmonton got to the Finals. But I'm going to say, call me crazy, I'm going to say Winnipeg finally gets to the Stanley Cup Finals.
All
I
right.
think
I'm
Winnipeg.
mad at that.
I think Winnipeg's kind of due. In the East, I don't think Florida repeats. I think it's so hard because of who they drew.
I think it's Boston.
You know what? I was thinking the same as you because I don't trust the Rangers to go in the conference final and win it. I think they can get to the conference finals, but I'm going to say maybe Winnipeg and Boston. The league is going to hate that. Bettman is going to hate Winnipeg versus Boston, but He's
Well,
probably
since we
hoping.
got 2 Islander fans here, I'll say, how about Islanders against Nashville in the Cup?
I like
Since
that
we
one.
got one Nashville fan, and we got 2 Islanders.
I would sign up for it. I think we could beat Carolina, but I don't think we're beating the Rangers if we get there. I mean, we played them better the last 2 games, but I don't see us having it. I don't think we have the firepower. I don't think this team is. I think we could beat Carolina. I really do, but I don't think we're beating the Rangers. I just don't think. It's the same problem we had when we went to the conference finals of 2 years. When we matched up with Tampa Bay, we didn't have the offense. We didn't have the power play. So we know that every power play draws is more important than the regular season. So we have to do our power plays in a better way. We don't do them.
The thing with beating the Rangers is just keep them on 5-on-5, right? They're like one of the worst teams.
We only gave up 1 goal the last 2 games, 5-on-5, and they scored before Ottawa, I think, 2 goals in like 200 minutes on 5-on-5. But
yeah,
I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll definitely revisit it next week. I want to say hello to Ron Franklin. Ron, we had an abbreviated show. We'll be back regular time next Friday. We had to induct CJ Black, the good guy, into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. We'll be back here at 10 o'clock for the rest of the gang regular terms. But let's get to closing thoughts. Alan Michaels, I know you want to get the hook is ready for you, so I'm actually going to let you have closing thoughts. I'm going to let you sign off if you would like to hit the pillow afterwards because I can see where you're going. So floor is yours, Alan Michaels. Give us some hot takes and try to stay less tired for next week, and hopefully you hit the pillow for a good night's sleep after tonight.
Got you. It was a great show. I had a blast. Every Friday I enjoy coming on here.
Almost 100 people are with us right now. People are with us.
Heck yeah! I like the shave, Rob. Look, 10 years younger, man. 10 years younger.
Now, if he dyed his hair black, would you say 20?
Hey, I'm not saying nothing. It's... But yeah, man, I had a blast. Follow us on all platforms at TSF Takes. We're gonna be on here every Friday.
Absolutely, a lot of draft talk next Friday. A lot of draft talk.
Yeah,
because Chris
I gotta make me a mock draft here soon.
You better. You better. We're gonna definitely talk a lot of because we'll be back here at 10 o'clock next week, so regular time. So we'll follow you obviously at independent artists from Nashville on Instagram. TSF Takes on all platforms. If you want, I'll let you run and get some sleep.
I'm gonna see y'all later.
Hello, we'll see you next week and stay trendy and stay safe out there. That's Alan Michaels. Bet we'll see you there. Okay, let's go to closing thoughts. Big T, I'm going to you next. I'm going to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? Floor is yours.
Not particularly, man. Obviously, we had to make do with what we did, but hopefully my technical difficulties don't carry over into next week. I'm kind of hoping it clears itself up. But once again, still another great show, even if it was a little bit shorter than we wanted it to be. Still covered just about every topic you can cover. A lot of great NHL talk. I'm still learning just about everything every other Friday that we're on here. Yeah, I just can't wait for the next week's show, man. Other than that, it was a great show.
Absolutely, and we can follow Big T at _tier10 on Twitter. Check him out on Instagram as well. And yeah, we're learning too. We talked everything. We talked hockey. We talked baseball. We talked football. We talked wrestling even. So we talked all that there. Good stuff. DK, I'm going with you next. Want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, say, and go Preds. And hope that you have a good time there in Smashville.
Yeah, you pretty much said it well. Just go Preds. Hope they play well. I think it's actually one of their better chances to make it to the finals this year, and hopefully they can and bring home the cup. And that's really what's on my mind right now is that.
Oh, I can't blame you. Listen, there's nothing like playoff hockey, by the way. Somebody that went to all the actual Islander playoff games in the Barclays Center. I went to one playoff game in the Coliseum. I went to the one in actually 2 of them. I went to the 2 games against Pittsburgh in the 2019. So to be in that atmosphere, there's nothing like playoff hockey. Baseball, basketball, football are amazing sports, but there's nothing like those NHL playoff games. So great stuff, DK. Rooting for you. Definitely looking forward to talking hockey with you next week. Randy, I know you're under the weather as well. I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts, and we'll be back regular time next Friday. Hopefully TBK and Coach Chris Craven will be back. We'll do some more SmackDown talk. I know the guys, Coach was going to be here, but I ran late, so I'll give you the floor, though, and fire away.
Thanks, Tom. We'll make it quick. Not much happening in the world of wrestling. We'll know a little bit more with WWE next week, how the roster will look after the draft. Will be interesting how AEW Dynasty goes this Sunday. I'm really interested with the buy rates with NHL playoff, with NBA. We'll see how that really works in North America, how that's going to work. But in terms of NHL, my Stanley Cup pick preview, I'll give a pick right now. I said it Hockey Fan Chat episode with Justin Gianelli back in October, I'm going to say it again. I hate me to say this because they're playing the Capitals the first round, but a Stanley Cup final, I think we're still going to have the Edmonton Oilers versus the New York Rangers, and I think my heart just stopped. So
no, boo! Hey, you know what?
It
One of
hurts
my
me.
buddies, by the way, who's here once again back with us, and I'm wondering is going to be back on Sports by next month. The big man of DBW, and I'm with you, Big Tex. Even though I'm an Islanders fan, evening, everyone Capitals fan here. Hopefully, we can beat the Rangers. Yeah. See, and he's the big man of DBW. He's really a big man.
It's gonna be hard. Like I hope it's the opposite, Edmonton versus Washington, but you never know. But that's my prediction. We'll see. Starts tomorrow. Going to be great. Want to hear my hockey takes? Follow me on Twitter on Randy Dillon. Dillon spelled DHI.
And we've been getting a lot of views on those clips on Twitter, by the way. We got a lot of views with that.
I'm glad to hear. And Tom, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. And listen, I do think a Canadian team's going to make the Stanley Cup this year, but I think it's Winnipeg because I think Winnipeg's got all the momentum. But Edmonton, maybe this is the year McDavid finally gets to a Stanley Cup final. They were talking about that a lot this week on NHL radio. McDavid's legacy, and Crosby's won all these cups. Ovechkin won one finally, and they were talking about Yzerman winning as many as he did, and obviously Gretzky, Messier, and where does McDavid fall in all of that? So we'll have to find out. Chris, I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Obviously, I'm looking forward to continuing to play the Talking Rivals here show on Sportzwire Radio, and I turn it over to you, and we'll see if the Yankees can keep up the momentum, and let's go Isles. Yes, yes, yes.
Definitely. Tom, thank you, guys. Great show as always. We missed the liftoff this week. Me and Sean both crazy busy this week, so we couldn't do it.
All good.
Hopefully next week because I want to get one more mock in before the draft, figure it out. But just looking forward to the playoffs starting this weekend. Can't wait. There's nothing like playoff hockey, and thank you.
Amen to that.
It would be great for an upset. I'm not thinking it's going to happen, but I'm hoping it does. But we'll see. Like we said, anything's possible. And the great thing about the playoffs is all of your stats and everything else go back.
Means zero. Listen, NHL playoffs are such a crapshoot. The other sport, even baseball last year, Diamondbacks and the Phillies the year before.
Yeah.
I don't think it means any much in sport. In the NFL, we see it. Listen, the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs wasn't supposed to be the Chiefs' year this year, and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And
we can never do that again.
Yeah, so the Bengals went to was a wild card in a weak division winner, went to a championship game in a Super Bowl. It doesn't mean as much anymore. The President's Trophy in the NHL, Rob pointed out, hasn't won the Stanley Cup in over a decade. It doesn't matter. Just get into the playoffs. Where the Islanders, listen, they're the hottest team right now.
Yeah.
They have not lost in regular season in 9 games, and they made up all the points they did. So, we'll see. But
it's so much tight in every sport, not just hockey, baseball, basketball, football. The playoffs are so much tighter now than they were 10, 15, even 20 years ago.
So many teams make it now. Also,
yeah. It used to be like the 8 team had, the 8 seed would have no shot. No shot. Now it's, anybody's game.
The Panthers last year made it the last day of the season, and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. The King, I know Randy's going to say, Tom, the Kings, I told you, blah, 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 blah. Rangers, even when they made the Cup Final in 2014, were a wild card. You just don't know.
Arizona last year with baseball, right? I think the last day they made
Arizona, Phillies the year before.
They were a wild card against the
2018.
Chicago in 2017.
Could be wrong, but I think the Heat last year might have been a wild card in the NBA.
Yeah, they were 8 got to the conference finals. Yeah, good. They came back down 3-0 and got to 3-3, and they're playing the Celtics again. Oh, by the way, that's another series that we forgot to mention. That was a good one. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, you don't know in sports anymore. Sports, I want to say hello to another future Hall of Famer, Levi McDaniel. Levi always says top of the evening mates. I love Levi. Levi's also in the management of the IMF. But yeah, I do think the Islanders have a shot. I don't know if they're going to win more than a round. We'll have to find out. Good stuff, Chris. Looking forward to whatever you put out there. I enjoy the Talking Rivals. Rob Maraska, contest guy himself. He's even wearing it proudly. I like that. Very lively show. 81 people here tuned in, so they seem to like it also. So, Rob, you got the last word for tonight. I give you the floor. Fire away.
Great show, guys. As usual, had a great time. We'll announce the winner of the Ellie De La Cruz card next Friday night, and I'm looking forward to Sunday and when the Rangers, sorry, Randy, start the playoffs against the Capitals. And I'm sorry, Randy, but the Rangers are going to take that round. But we'll see what happens. Anything could happen. Maybe
well, I'll tell you who the big winner is, Rob. The Madison Square Garden is the big winner this weekend.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because they got the Knicks today and they got the Rangers the next day. They're the big winners, actually.
Of course. So looking forward to that series, and I want to see how the Mets do on the West Coast trip. Right now, they're ahead 6-4. So anyway, great show, guys, and talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, Mets 10 out of 30. It's a good time to be a New York sports fan. The Knicks are obviously back. Big T made a great point. The Knicks, even if you're not a basketball fan, the Knicks really haven't been really good in New York for a long time. The last 2 years, the Knicks have been relevant again. New York is always, even though we're a baseball town, yeah, we love hockey, we love football, but New York, at its core, as an urban blue-collar place, has always been a basketball town. And the fact that the Knicks are back excites a lot of people. One of my buddies, Steven Saperstein, actually went to Knicks games, and he was going regularly. I mean, the people I were talking to me about the Knicks, so people want to see the Knicks do well. We'll have to see. They do have a good hand. But again, Knicks will have to prove it in the postseason. And listen, Rangers obviously are back. Islanders, yes. Islanders are in the playoffs again 5 times in 6 years. Islanders have done a good job. Patrick Waugh, fantastic job. Obviously, Varley did great down the stretch. Paul Mary got to third. Paul Mary had a career high 30 goals. I mean, Noah Dobson's a borderline, Norris Trophy candidate. I mean, there's some good things there too with the Islanders, and obviously Mets and Yankees are playing well. Draft is coming up. We'll see. Maybe not so much about the Giants, but the Jets. But ladies and gentlemen, that's our story, and we're sticking to it. We were joined here tonight by Alan Michaels, the trendsetter, Scooby Stoney, who also left, wasn't feeling well, but also here with, despite technical difficulties, Big T, DK, go Smashville and those Preds, Randy Dillon, go Caps, Robin Russell, go Mets, maybe not so much Rangers, but definitely go Mets, Chris Pizzea, definitely go Islanders, and let's go Yankees as well with you. And my name, you probably know, and you're sick and tired of hearing it, is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all sports and all wrestling matters. And if you're on Sportswire Radio, you're going back to your regular programming, and I'm actually here today at 10 p.m. Eastern time with this guy who's called the Big Bad Silver Wolf, and he doesn't run the ring ropes very well, but he does, for whatever reason, be able to talk. But we'll have to see on that. And also Joe Dell's last comment of the word, we're having a frustrating New York sports time. Why bring up the Jets? Well, no. I'm going to say we're not having a frustrating New York sports time. Rangers won the President's Trophy. Yankees are 14-6. Now he changed his comment. We're having a great New York sports time. Well, duh. That's always what I was trying to tell you. The Knicks won 50-plus games, 2 seed for the first time in over a decade. Yankees 14-6. Mets 10-8, could be 11-8. Jets look like they could be back. They made some good moves in the offseason. Islanders are in the playoffs. Rangers won the President's Trophy. And the Liberty is starting up, by the way, for those that like women's basketball. So a lot of great stuff, Ed. So it's a great time to be a New York sports fan. And we'll see what the future is. But until then, thank you, Jodell, for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Oh, he auto-corrected. I told you. All right, Joe. We'll see you next Friday. Thank you. Tell your friends. Hit that sub button for us at Sportswire Radio 6579. Support the TSF takes. Follow them on all platforms. Liftoff Jets, Talking Rivals. Follow them. Randy Dillon, Instagram, Twitter. Follow him. Thank you, everybody. I'll see everybody at 10 o'clock for the Big Bad Silver Wolf on Sportswire Radio.